Mola Jack.
Well, hello. My name's Jason Bonham from the band Bonham, and this is
Ian Hatton.
from the band Bonham, of course. And of course, we're having a heavy metal party here with Harold, but as you can see,
Ed, bottles are empty.
he never buys the beer, does he? See you soon.
Last week I met Robert Plant.
Oh, bully, woolly, woolly. Robert is always doing that to me because he's like a father figure. He tries to conduct. Well, not doesn't try. He's very good. He's like, my father's not here now, so he tries to advise me and like the way I live my life and that, you know, that I don't, to watch out that I don't drink too much and to end up in the same way. And it has worked. They've all done it to me. So my band and things. Obviously, I did go into that path where I went into the wild animal stage and became an arrogant arsehole and became very bullshit about money and things when I was drunk. But as they all said to me, you're a very funny person. You don't need to drink that much. So Robert sometimes says things like that to try and make me think. And yes, Robert, you have made me think. And yes, fine. I am now just after I've been on stage. If Robert, you ever did this, I'm having a beer. I'm very sorry, but yes, I do have a beer now and again. You were young once, weren't you?
Mola Jack.
You got this big father figure. Your father who was a real big rock star.
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem. It's just a breaking of ground. Obviously,
something that you got. It's like something that goes on all the time. Obviously, people are always going like, it's Bonham, it's John Bonham and all that, but it's no problem.
It's not really a problem. I mean, it's like I don't think it is as a problem as such because we have just heard extensively the American now for the last 7 months, and it was never treated as a problem there. The Americans seem to find it as a blessing and as like a thing of like, wow, you know, this guy is related to John Bonham, he's his son. Let's go and check him out. I think the thing is, what is the problem is, which is the narrow-mindedness of maybe people, as some are in America, but not so much that they are like in Europe. Some of the European people, they go, well, basically it's just because it's Bonham, it's Bonham. In America, they don't see it like that.
A lot of times, the way the press interprets it, not what people think, not what everybody else thinks. It's, you know,
it's ridiculous.
We're going out there as a band, just playing. We all wrote the songs. We'd all play it together. It's like
but we're all in this together. It's not. We call the band Bonham. Bonham is a name. Bon Jovi's a name. Van Halen's a name. Somebody said to me the other day, "Isn't it very stupid calling the band after a drummer?" Well, I said, "What about Van Halen?" He said, "Oh, that's because of the guitarist." I said, "Well, the drummer's called Van Halen as well." I mean, ask him that same question. I mean, he'd be pretty beep off if he wasn't, considered in that fact. I don't think, as I say, I don't think consider it as a problem. I think it's just a barrier that we have break through to say that we are a band, we are our own entity, we play our own music. Yes, we are influenced by Led Zeppelin. Who isn't? At least we admit it. We don't deny it. We are no Kingdom clone.
Mola Jack.
Led Zeppelin were the greatest band that ever lived. I mean, you don't criticise people for impersonating Aerosmith. You don't criticise people for impersonating AC/DC. Why all of a sudden is it because the Zeppelin are such gods that we should not touch that ground? Well, I'm afraid I was born into that godly world. I was one of the offspring of Led Zeppelin. I was there when it all started. I was there before my dad joined Led Zeppelin, if you could say that, as a child. I grew up with the music. If I'm not going to be influenced by them, or anybody in the band I play with, I mean, the blues was an influence to Led Zeppelin. Ian is influenced by the blues. And if Ian ever turned around in an interview and said, well, did you ever hear Jimmy Page? And if Ian ever said no, Ian would be lying, because We're not, as I said, we're not a clone type thing. We're not denying any influence. Yes, he has heard of Jimmy Page. We listen to everybody. Everybody that created Led Zeppelin we listen to. We listen to Led Zeppelin. We listen to bands today, you know. It's like one of those situations where you get, I mean, we're probably going to get, you know, if this was a magazine now, we'd get misquoted and say, well, so-and-so and so-and-so did this and so-and-so and so-and-so did that. We don't mean to say that. All we're saying is, when people compare us to Led Zeppelin, yes, we are influenced by Led Zeppelin, and we don't deny it.
It's pretty strange if you weren't.
Definitely.
There's a big difference between influence and copying. Well,
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
Let's get it on, you know.
Oh, well,
But then again, you know, till the Judgment Day, you can never really tell till the still of the night, can you? The white snakes.
another thing.
And now, anyway, as we are now still set in the still of the night, and we are now talking about, you know, maybe that one Judgment Day, let's get it on with.
Well, talking to Robert about.
I mean, they'd slaughter. I mean, at the end of the day, they'd slaughter us, wouldn't they? You know.
we're all immigrants at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But those dancing days are over, aren't they? But then again, he was hung-drawn and no quarter.
Mola Jack.
Zeppelin had such a magic, they didn't sound like anybody at the time. They were not publicised, they did not do a hell of a lot of interviews. They avoided press, they had a mystique. Everybody wanted to know about that mystique. And I think still today, even if Zeppelin ever do get back together again, even if I play drums or whoever played drums, it would never be Led Zeppelin again, but it will be one hell of a turn. And I think they could still prove out there that Led Zeppelin is still the greatest rock and roll band that ever walked this earth. That's all I'd say.
Mola Jack.
This is my guitarist, yeah? My guitarist, let's just say, this is the guitarist. It started off as my guitarist, but then now I'm his drummer. That's the way I like the band to be. It's not just me being an ego, it's as a band, and we're all together. But, yeah, I'm his drummer. Because the classic is, in America now, I am his drummer. And that's what I always dreamed about in the band. It wasn't just going to start off, this is called Bonham. Why should, whoever heard of a drummer be in the front now? Especially wearing 34-waist jeans. Ridiculous. The greatest thing about a band is having a singer like Daniel McMaster, that looks like a god and sounds like one, and having a guitarist that looks like one and sounds like one. And to me, I chose two of the greatest guys to do it. And then my friends, well, Daniel became my friend, but obviously, but I'd known Ian. Ian was my friend before he joined the band. And to create that friendship and to create it musically and to put it over to the public in America, we've had how could I say this? Excuse me. While we were in America, we had one of these in our mouths, a silver spoon, to come to Europe and play like we did tonight in Germany and keep that. It was fantastic, the crowd was behind us. I mean, for us to go down musically the way we are in front of a Metallica audience, to get that response, I thought, we're pretty damn good. And because we're not that type of band, we're a listening band. To listen to our music is one of the main things. We don't write songs so think, well, how fast can I move for this? Not knocking Metallica, I think Metallica are brilliant at what they do, but it's not what we want to do. Like Warrior Soul or Dio, they're all good at what they do, but it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder, and we're set in the middle there. In Holland, it didn't work over so well, but here tonight, I think definitely the Germans are definitely listening like the Americans. They will listen to the music, and if they like it, they like it. They don't just go to a concert and say, I'm going to see one band. That's what impressed me tonight about the German audience.
Mola Jack.
I mean, and I'm not looking at Bon Jovi, they're a great band, they're a huge band. Def Leppard is huge, millions and millions of albums, Guns N' Roses, millions and millions of albums. But they're not supergroups.
Never like that. So, you know,
So
Zeppelin,
look at me the
Stones,
four, the great four. Beatles, Stones, The Who, and Zeppelin. Where do they all come from?
Of course.
England. Not knocking any German bands or any bands from anywhere in the world, but if you really think about it, ladies and gentlemen, four supergroups. Beatles, Stones, Who, and Zeppelin. All from England.
Mola Jack.
Don't take me seriously. My wife doesn't take me seriously. God, she's still there. Hello, darling. Would you like an idea with my wife? Would you like an idea with my wife as well?
If you want. Yeah.
This, John, come round here.
Come on, Jan.
John.
I think it's only 50.
No, we'll do one with you first, and then do one with John. We'll do a safe sex advert, can't we?
Mola Jack.
Well, hello. My name's Jason Bonham from the band Bonham, and this is
Ian Hatton.
from the band Bonham, of course. And of course, we're having a heavy metal party here with Harold, but as you can see,
Ed, bottles are empty.
he never buys the beer, does he? See you soon.
Mola Jack.
Yes, sir.
He's high, sir. He's recording, look.
Yeah. Your red light's on.
He's high, sir, Jason Bonham. And I forgot what it said. Was it?
Does it?
Okay, alright. So again, 3, 2, 1. Ich heiße Jason Bonham. Das ist
Ian Hatton.
from the band Bonham. And you're watching the heavy metal party with
Rolling?
Get them doggies rolling, 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 right.
First of all, we're actually sitting on the stage of the Vienna Opera House, and it's for a reason. You're going to play here some hard rock. How does that feel?
Well, it's always a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I look around here and it brings back a little bit of the memory. Just recently, I had my first ever experience of playing the Royal Albert Hall with the legendary Paul Rodgers. So that was another mark I could cross off of my list of things I've done. So, and this is another one I could cross off because it is a beautiful history. I'm very, very into history, and I just feel I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to come back to this area, to Vienna, and it brings back very good memories, crazy memories too.
Back to when you were a kid, you were playing drums with the occasional rock stars that came visit. Was Glenn one of them?
I don't remember Glenn. Glenn was just a little bit before my drumming time. It was in the early days that my dad and Glenn used to hang out. So no, I never really remembered much about Glenn. I've read a few books where I think my dad hit him with a gun a few times and put a gun against his back and pistol whipped him, and which is, interesting to read about one's father doing that to my singer and bass player. But amusing to say the least.
I guess I'm right when I'm saying that the second album, the second BCC album, is more of a drum album than the first one.
We had a better drum room this time round. We went for a bigger sound, and Kevin was more into that direction. He wanted a bigger drum sound. Who knows what the next one will be? If we keep it in in the way things are going.
You just need a couple days to record a record, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we had 10 days to do we had 10 days to do the last one, and after 7 days, we had 3 days of going. Well, what are we going to do? You know. So we said we might split it up to 2 7-day periods. The next one, and just work really hard again.
Well, speaking of your drum kit, it's right in front of us.
Yep.
You kind of switched back to your old love, put it that way.
Yeah, I did. One of the things I've been so used to playing, when I joined Foreigner 5 years ago, I went back to the old one rack tom and the the more Bonham traditional setup. But what everyone forgot was when I started out, that was my setup because I was so into Jeff Porcaro. And drummers like Mel Gaynor and Phil Collins. So I went back to more of my other influences. So now with this band and its original stuff, I get to be all the other all the other drummers I'm really, really into get to come out of the closet on this. You know what I mean?
Speaking of the band name, Black Country Communion, the Black Country, you were born there.
Black Country, the area of the Black Country, isn't what some people thought. You guys grew up in the ghetto? No. It had nothing to do with that. It was an industrial, steel, coal area. Hard working class. You worked hard in those towns, and I grew up in that environment, very working class, and weren't there for long. Within a couple of years, Dad had. By the time Dad was 20, he was already on Led Zeppelin, 2 or 3. So
he was a rock star then.
Yeah, all of a sudden we had 12 cars and a swimming pool but we still, Dad and my mum always kept their feet on the ground. They did not do the glamorous lifestyle. So the Black Country itself was a very hard-working thing, and I think that's why a lot of the harder music, heavier music, the Black Country was the home of Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, just to name two of the two of the big, Led Zeppelin. Half the band were from Led Zeppelin were from there, from that area. So
maybe it's from the coal miners, boom, boom.
It's just that thing that you do. If you don't want to go and do that, you got to be good at something else. So it's one way of getting out. My dad worked in a factory for a short time, and he was a builder also. So when he got too cold on the building site, he would go and work inside the factory.
He knew he had to be good in something else.
Yeah, and not many people know this. Is the fact that he only got his first drum kit from the age 16. So it was within 4 years that he got that good when he recorded Led Zeppelin 1. So, wow. That's what I can say to that. So, I've had a hell of a lot to live up to. A lot of people say, what's it like? You're the son of John Bonham. I say, what? Well, it's pretty cool. No matter what I do, it doesn't really bother. It doesn't. No matter what I do, it will always be because he was such an icon and such a huge iconic band. It just gives me enough get up and go to say, you know what? I just want to make him happy, and I want to prove to him that, and show him that. Dad, you handed me down a business. Like some fathers, they hand them down their work. Even though he wasn't here to hand it down to me himself, to me, I feel, if anything, he left me in such an early age, but he gave me a career.
Well, he gave you a drum kit and taught you on it.
And with that, I got a career out of it. I still look at it and go, I can't believe I was 45 yesterday, and that I'm still doing it, and I've managed to live. It gets me each time that my dad was only 32 when he passed away, and he achieved so much, and I've outlived my father, and it's pretty heavy. Yeah.
Oh well. There's still a lot to do, man.
Exactly. So I still feel like a child. I have 2 children myself, a daughter 18 and my son Jagger at 15, my daughter Jazz, and they're I still go, hold on, I'm not responsible for myself, so who's going to be responsible for you? So it's very easy to become like that in a musician. You can stay a child for a long, long time because you have people that do things for you. I want this and I need that. Yeah, and you got to try and keep your feet grounded.
Yeah, now you got kids that they're gonna tell you that you need it and you have to do something. Hey, Dad, gotta do this.
My kids can be the cruelest kids in the world when they want to be. It's like my one daughter, when she wants something, she'll go like, Dad, well, if you're anybody, you can get me tickets to see this, you can get me tickets to see that. And then the next minute it's like, if I can't do it, see, Dad, you're nobody really, aren't you? But, she's a good kid.
One other story I've read is that Nebworth soundcheck story. Yeah. Remember that one?
Yeah, I got up and played with them. In the week, Dad said, "You know what? Do you want to get up and play?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I was 13, and he said, "Okay, let's listen to let's learn Troubled Underfoot." And he said, "Just watch for Jimmy. Jimmy will extend the guitar solo, and when it comes to the end of it, he'll just raise his hand, and it changes." And I remember the point when Jimmy raised his hand and turned and went. He couldn't see me from behind the key. I was like, "Oh, hi." Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And my dad made a compliment, the greatest compliment I've ever had. So he said to somebody, "It's the first time I've ever seen Led Zeppelin play." Oh, it was very cool.
That must be a great feeling, hearing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, as I say, I know for a fact he was with me that day in 2007 at the Atlantic the Atlantic for Armitt, the benefit for Armitt when he passed away, because that for me was one of the best shows, and to suddenly do it when the pressure's on, to be able to play when the pressure's on for everybody. It was a phenomenal gig. It was such a great gig, and the letters and some of the words and the letters and what people sent to me from the likes of Peter Gabriel, to have a compliment what Peter Gabriel said to me, which I will never repeat because it was so overwhelming that I just wept. Thank you, Peter. It was one of the great. You've played with some of the greatest people in drummers, Peter Gabriel, and to have that compliment from him was just. But they were all there, all the drummers. My friend Zach Starkey, Ringer's son. He was the first person to text me within 5 minutes of walking off stage. And Chad Smith, and the list goes on. Dave Grohl. They were all there. As Dave Grohl said, I really wanted to be the drummer for that gig, but he said, you know what, Jason did a fantastic job and he deserved to do it. It was a very special night.
One other thing, aside from the music, for years and years, you were riding motocross. You were racing, actually. But are you still doing that?
I still have a very, very large collection of motorcycles, yes. I have some wonderful wonderful parts, actually, of bikes. David Philipparts, who was the world champion 2 years ago in the MX2 class. I have basically his 450 Yamaha from Ronaldo Yamaha, who sent it over to me. And I got a bunch of, I made really good friends with Ricky Carmichael and the great Belgian riders, Stefan Everts, and the Finnish. I'm a classic. I am like the geek motocross journalist. You can ask me who. I'm just trying to think of some of the Austrian guys now, and I'm drawing a blank, which is not usually like me.
Well, but there was quite some famous one, Heinz Kienigardner. You might remember him.
Yes, I do remember Heinz Kienigardner. Yes. Was he Austrian?
Oh, yeah.
There was so many. I mean, there was one of the great French riders as well, was Bruno. Just remember, he was a real showman. Vimon, I know Gaston Raya. I go way back to Gerard Walstein, the great Dutch dentist. He was this huge, big guy, and yeah, I went to all the Grand Prix. I was a huge fan. Håkan Karlqvist, the Swede, was the notorious racing in Namur. When he had such a lead from the second place guy, there was a beer there's a bar on the track over the side. He stopped, he drank a beer and continued on and still won the race. Hi, this is Jason Bonham from Black Country Communion, and you're watching Mulachek. It's the only TV show that you need.
Excellent.
And I'm available for bar mitzvahs and parties, and I'm welcome. Hello, a little do the dance. Hello, Michael Jackson. Hello, yeah. Going down the elevator.